you know, I guess go for risk and I guess how do you think about that? How do you just think about kind of risk tolerance and like is there any reason to be decaf or safe? I think as you put it.
Yeah, so I think you see lots of risk aversion in industries like finance, pharma, highly regulated companies, or perhaps even oil and gas, because they might be used to having some issues out there in the ether on social and in other places. So they're thinking, okay, so we are already being slated on Twitter because of an oil spill here or whatever. If we put it out even more content, that's just gonna come back in our faces. So I think that could be part of it. So either regulation or tobacco, or they produce arms or whatever. So it's some industries that there will be some of those challenges. So that's probably the main one. And then also, I think if you fail to get that executive buy-in, and really not just the buy-in, but actually try to get an executive really excited about the prospect of doing, whether that's employee advocacy or social selling or employer branding, then it's going to be very hard to sell the whole thing right at the point of launching, and also the budgets aren't really going to follow. So that might mean that you're going to have to do something a little bit half-assed, as we say, and it's just not going to be a success. So yeah, it's so important to get the key stakeholders on board at a very early stage.
Yeah. I think that's a commonality between your efforts and our efforts. It's something new for an organization, not necessarily something they've done before, and you really have to have that high level leadership. And as you said, not just kind of the sign off and support. One question for you: you're located in London.
Yeah.
How are companies in the EU different than those in the US, or even teams? Because I know you work with some very large companies, but how is there any difference in EU-based organizations and how they think about and prioritize employer brand versus maybe US headquartered companies?
Yeah, it's a question I get a lot, actually, especially when I'm in the US or if I'm on continent. So we're in the UK, we're leaving the EU. But B, I also feel that the UK sits somewhere in between North America and mainland Europe anyway, because, it's more of a hybrid culture here, I think. So if you go to mainland Europe, I think employer brand is something that's been done for many years. It's like a corporate function. And to be honest, I don't really see that much creativity coming out of Europe, whereas in the US specifically, maybe that's got something to do with the jobless rate, employment levels. I do see some very interesting creative work happening, and so I think. But I should add that the function is much newer in North America, and people are finding their feet. There's a lot of events, and there's a lot of resources and webinars and ebooks and so on flying around. People are really trying to understand what employer brand is all about, which is I think is an interesting place to be for a practitioner. But that's probably the biggest difference. And coming back to the UK here, we out in London, we have some really big corporate headquarters. We have regional headquarters, meaning that we work on a lot of projects which cover not just the UK, but will cover Europe, Middle East, and Africa, or will cover the whole world. So we get the best or the worst of both worlds. So it's not just Europe versus US, but it's also places like Asia or South America and Australia to really see some of the differences down there as well.